situation. So as information about COVID-19 changes every day, and there are a lot of recommendations by the government, by the other organizations, which are trying, the businesses are trying to evolve and adapt accordingly. So what we are trying to do today is we're going to look at the impact of the pandemic on the workplace, and on the whole, we try to see how it's going to impact the employees, and we will seek guidance from the HR leaders from the industry. So we're going to today discuss some practical insights on key areas affecting the workforce, organization, and the industry. I would like to start by saying a thank you to Acura Solutions, ANOVA, HRMS, and ACE Human Capital, because they've been very instrumental in organizing and getting all the logistics arranged. Acura has been a leader in the market with regards to all the recruitments for the corporates, whereas ANOVA has been very instrumental in getting all the HRMS systems, end-to-end HRMS systems ready. I would now introduce the panel for today. We have Charu Gulati and Varindra, who are joining us today. And Charu Charu brings 20 years of industry experience with her. She's the group head, human resources for Everston Capital Advisors, whereas Varindra is the associate director for IQVIA, and he was a former associate director at PwC. So welcome aboard, Charu and Varun.
Thank you, Ganesh.
Thank you, Ganesh.
Great. So all our listeners are quite anxious about what's going to happen in the next 1 hour. Before we start firing the questions at you, I would request you to give a quick start note from both of you, and then I'll start shooting the questions from my end.
Sure, I'll go first. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Good morning, everybody. Very nice to be here on a Saturday morning. Normally, weekends are as bad or good as weekdays these days. Thank you, Ganesh. Thank you, Acura Solutions, for making this happen. Ganesh has already introduced me. I come with 20 plus years of experience, both in operations, frontline, as well as in HR. Currently managing HR for a private equity fund. Have a large part of my life having spent in the ITES space, about 15 years in GE, Genpact. And I think these are times today when everybody is really experiencing it for the first time, and hopefully the last time as well. So the idea is really to see what we are doing as HR fraternity, what we keep hearing, what we keep listening into our organizations, and how can we really accept this new normal and bring in optimism and positivity into it.
Thank you, Charu. Varun?
Hi everyone. As Ganesh has introduced, my name is Virendra. When Ranu approached me with this idea of sharing the thoughts on a new normal, so I was a little skeptical that, okay, we all are in a situation where we are all still figuring out that what new normal is going to be once we resume office, once we start going to workplaces. But I think, yes, it did give me some time to put my thoughts together and have some idea that, okay, which in my experience, I would be shared. So in my last 15 years of experience, I've worked in multiple sector industries. I've worked in retail, entertainment, pharma, government consulting, private consulting, now healthcare consulting. So I have multiple sector industries I've seen. So I can see that how possibly this new situation or new work norms are going to impact the multi industries. So yes, but this would be really helpful if we have more and more questions and more interactive, so that the more thoughts come into this and we all can try to figure out what is the new normal going to be.
Thank you, Varindra. So to all the participants, the flow of the session is going to be, we have a certain set of questions prepared for our speakers, so which I am going to shoot from my end and get their answers and insights on those questions. Done with my questions, I'll let the participants ask a few questions. we will have Rano pick up the questions so that we can try and see, the answers are holistic and it addresses a lot of issues so that we can get more, insights from the experts. Post which, I'm going to put both my speakers on a hot seat for a rapid fire round of questions and see what are they going to, how are they going to, save themselves from the fire of questions. And then we will end the session with a thank you note from both the speakers and the organizers. So I'll start. We have always been gentlemen, so I will start with Charu answering my first question. I'm sure Varindra will be feeling good. Okay, at least this way, the lady always gets to answer the first question. So, okay, the first question that Charu that has come to us is, what do you think about the skills that will change out in times today, and what will the organizations value as HR?
Good question, Ganesh. I will go by what I am seeing and experiencing and what I'm hearing people really do and say. I think collaboration comes to my mind as the first thing. Extensive collaboration, because I think we are talking to people on the phone, we are talking to people virtually through different kinds of applications. There is no more a concept of let's meet again in 5 minutes after coffee in office so that we can just discuss an issue again and again. Things are happening a lot virtually, and therefore I also see people collaborating much more than what they normally would do when they are in office, because there's always a leisure and luxury of bringing up the topic again and again when you are in physical presence of each other. So I would say extensive collaboration as one skill. Uh, it is emerging in everybody on its own. I think there are some who are putting in an extra effort to make it happen, because the idea really is to come to a conclusion on anything which is open. The other thing that I'm seeing, come up in people automatically is a sense of discipline. I think when we all went into a lockdown phase about 7 weeks ago, in some cases 6 weeks ago, the first week was a mix of emotions of some people enjoying work from home and some people, getting anxious on what are we doing, why are we just not going to office, it's not a big deal, virus is not going to hit me, etc., etc. But I think and then when they actually started to accept after 2 or 3 weeks down the line that this is a reality and we really don't know the end time of it, there is a sense of discipline coming into everybody, to have the day set in a certain manner, chalk out some time for the home chores, chalk out some time for the office chores, chalk out some time for the family. And I think it's all falling in place, and that is what is really emerging. So I personally think organizations will start valuing all these behavioral changes, and there'll be new values that will emerge out of every organization that they really look forward to.
Great. I pretty much agree to both the values that you have shared, Charu. Collaboration and discipline. It does make a lot of difference in terms of getting a planner for the entire day, in terms of how are we going to approach all the tasks, and especially with people who have a team to manage or probably have too many reporting lines that they have in terms of the functional role that they have. So yes, I definitely agree. It will make a lot of difference if we have setup like that. So the next one is going to be to Varindra, and considering the experience that you have, a lot of diverse experience. The first question that has been put to you is, how do you think companies will change or think the way they look at costs?
Okay, yes. Yeah, so the most important aspect of for all of us who are working, right? Cost from an organization standpoint, and for employees, it's going to be, yes, the increments, bonuses, and everything else. But yes, I think what I've been experiencing, the kind of conversation which is happening on other organizations, other HR teams, what I'm seeing is that a lot of focus has shifted on productivity, and cost also has. So it is primarily about not having an attendance marked, or not having headcounts mapped. It is more about that what kind of work you have, how many people are able to remotely support that, deliver that. Yes, and the cost primarily in a consulting organizations which are service sector, for example, service sector primarily would have two costs. One is the property rental cost, and second would be the headcount cost, which are driving their P&Ls. And yes, organizations are looking at both at this point in time. But yes, we may see a space, working space wherein a cyber hub kind of work environments in Gurgaon may not exist, right? So we may have smaller local offices to organization might make that changes to mitigate the cost impact. And from a headcount standpoint, yes, still organizations are expecting the lockdown to open and reevaluate that how the travel and other things are managed. So if those are open, manageable, then obviously those costs will also be figured out. But as far as the headcount is concerned, I think the productivity has gone up in terms of organizations which are able to remotely work. But yes, the manufacturing sector has seen a biggest hit. Organizations like cinema halls, PVRs, those are the companies that are struggling with this gap of non-revenue generating months, because they will not be able to obviously cover this up in the next coming months. So this year is going to completely take a hit.
Yeah, I agree. So just a bit more on the question. So for the sectors where remote working has always, kind of helped them, do you think would that become a standard norm? Would they actually look at percentages working from home, percentages coming to the office, or would they would rather look at focusing, like you said, maybe a very segregated space for them to remotely work from there?
Definitely, Ganesh. So two factors which are going to play major role in now, once even after 17, let's say the lockdown opens and the organization start working, but still it is not going to be 100% full throttle work was going to offices, right? So all the organizations have deployed the BCP plans, and the idea is that there will be a staggered deployment. Critical roles would, so there are roles in every organization which obviously cannot be supported remotely. So definitely those would be the first ones to resume office, and organizations and individuals both can mitigate that risk of not going to office and still afford to be productive. I think that those roles will continue as it is for another 2-3 months. I see that happening till the Q3. By I think September and quarter, and organizations will take a decision that how many people are actually need to be in office. And we may say a rotational work from home kind of environment wherein I might decide that 30%, 70% staff, 30% or 40% staff might continue working from home on a rotational basis. So we will see all those models emerging. How it will translate to cost, the only factor I see is the travel and organization infrastructure cost. Otherwise, I don't think so. In terms of headcount, it is going to make a much of an impact because productivity is still very high, and that has become a new focus for everyone, that measure the productivity and outcome rather than the time shift and everything else.
Great. Yeah, I agree. I pretty much agree on that. Okay. So the next question to Charu. This one probably I think is quite relevant to people who are participating in this. So Charu, the question is, how do you think people, leaders or organizations will change post-COVID in the way they run their organization from employees' perspective or people's perspective?
I don't know if I can break this question into really people's perspective, Ganesh, but I think organizations at large would change completely. I am witness to organizations which were very high on usage of technology, and I'm also witness to organizations which have been very traditional in their thought process. So much so that their salary checks still did go as, the salary check and not really an NEFT transfer. And everybody's learned their way out in the last 7 weeks. I mean, people who got paid in the month of March, people who got paid in the month of April have really, really come out a long way in terms of embracing technology. So I think organizations will become more aware, and they'll embrace technology, and that's going to help people because people have been looking forward to a progressive change. The other thing I think will also change from people's perspective will be organizations' trust level on their people. As much as there are a large amount of organizations which still are very hesitant to have a concept of work from home, they will have no choice but to trust their employees a little more than they probably did before. To know that the organizations are working for the people and the people are working for the organizations, and they will be productive as long as they are dealt well with a large amount of trust. So I think that is something which will really come out. From other perspectives, I also feel that they'll be revisiting a lot of policies, processes, and the way they exist today. And everything is going to get more forward looking, more progressive in terms of what is the world doing, what can we do, how can we really be a part of the race, because as Varendra also pointed out, this is the new normal, and unfortunately nobody really knows the end time. And the mindsets are changing both in terms of people looking at cash, people looking at technology, people looking at people, and things are changing, in my view, in a right direction.
Yeah, Charu, I've been actually contemplating on the same things. I'm sure even the entire appraisal system, which the companies are following at this point in time, and the way it's going to be looked at in future, it's going to change. The parameters in the system would probably change, and I'm sure the employee base has to adapt to these ad hoc but relevant changes to the ecosystem. Uh, Varendra, now that we were actually talking about the employee perspective during the pandemic, would you be able to throw some light on the unprecedented measures taken by the HR in these times?
Yeah, definitely. So, yes, these we have been since it started. I think by the time, as Charu had also mentioned, initially 4 or 5 days, everyone I think thought that okay, the new work from home has started and it might end up in a 10-15 days. But I don't think so. That after I think fortnight or so, people started realizing no, these are unprecedented times, and even the HRs and the organization leaders and everybody so whole industry start recognizing it as an unprecedented time. It has never happened in the past, wherein we have closed down offices, we have 100% staff working from home. So once those unprecedented times have come in, then I think new measures have evolved. So for example, interviews, hiring happening, 100% hiring happening online, all the interviews happening there. Onboarding has happened. So organizations which have honored their campus offers, the campus were due for joining in April. So those happened. Online onboarding happened. RAL had great news to share on that one. I think I did share that the best practice of onboarding people online. And exit has happened, which companies are still struggling with on the traditional process of asset handover and other things. But yes, we all are kind of, those are measures we are saying okay, we'll and see when we don't know it when it's going to end. You can't have withheld your exited employees FNF forever. So ultimately we'll have to figure out some way. I think still organizations are taking measure on that. So but yes, exits have happened. A lot of involuntary exits have happened, which is happening over a call, which traditionally would have a one-on-one discussion. So those are the things which even HR wasn't prepared to do that, right? So those are the major things. But I think what the biggest focus again, which I am experiencing in a service sector happening, is the kind of conversation which is happening between teams. As Charu pointed out, the trust factor has gone up. People are so it is not that your manager is on your back every day and look at 8 hours, I need this work. I think it's more a productive. A lot of people have different work schedules they have adopted too. So now it is not a morning 10 to 8 job. So wherever possible, people are adopting to schedules, because see, one more thing which we are not factored in initially was that people living at home for a longer duration, the organization did not factor in the stress, kind of stress the individuals will face at a home level also. So then I think this conversation started, the conversation around the mental health of employees, the kind of offerings being given by the organizations on a remote counseling sessions. And then the productivity has also come back to a new normal, which is okay, the productive hours would remain those 6 to 8 2 hours only. It is not going to happen that if you are working from home, you're saving on travel time, so your productivity goes to 12 hours. No, it can't happen like that. So productivity still remains in 6 7 hours, and work has to be proportionated accordingly. Those were the, I think, new measures which HR has also taken up.
Yeah, I think what has also struck me as a thought is that now there won't be the possibility of 100 to 120% efficiency or 100 to 120% productivity staying at home. That's one. Also, I feel that it's very relevant for the HR community to prepare for the worst, because we're still evolving. So there is quite a lot of things that they probably need to factor in terms of how they prepare, or maybe a backup system to adhere to these changes as such. Okay.
Absolutely.
So Charu, the next one that has been put on my screen that says is so CHRO's plan for abundant market post COVID-19.
It's a good thing and a bad thing, Ganesh, is what I look at it. I keep hearing news of layoffs. I keep hearing news of most organizations having put their hiring plan on hold. So a lot of these things are happening. There are very few organizations I keep hearing that they are really hiring. Will there be an abundant talent in the market post the lockdown or post the COVID, and we really don't know what post COVID is? I think the answer to that is yes. But I also think that the amount of relevant talent, I'm not sure how much would that exist. I think the layoffs that are happening today, Ganesh, is a combination of people who either were not really performing well in the organization and the organizations kind of latched onto that opportunity, or the roles genuinely got redundant, because what would you do with a certain skill set in times today, which is a lot about really meeting the clients, which is a lot about bringing in a certain portion of revenue, let's say from a luxury or a leisure sector, etc. um, I personally think there are tough times for the hiring managers ahead, because they'll have to double up their effort in figuring out who the right talent is for the right job, because the jobs will be fewer as compared to the talent in the market. And therefore, we'll have to be very, very careful and vigilant on what kind of screenings are we doing. The fact also remains that we may not be in a position even 6 months down the line to really hold a lot of in-person interviews wherein you can read a lot of body language, etc. I think the world will move to virtual. So what is a hiring manager doing? If there is a mass hiring, then are you using psychometrics? Are you using a certain questionnaire to do the filter mechanism? Or if there are bigger niche roles, will you really deploy a senior most person to really figure out what's the right fit for the organization? So I think it's a double whammy. We don't know, is abundant the right word or right skilling the right word? But it's a wait and watch situation for a lot of us to see who is really available for the right fit in the market tomorrow.
I think there is going to be a lot of churn out on the recruitment side, especially from the candidates end as well. I think they have to revisit their own skills. They
Yes.
have to revisit their competencies. They probably have to look at the kind of strengths they had while working earlier, and now how those strengths are going to play for them or against them. And yes, recruitment, I'm sure those guys will have far more bigger challenges to meet the expectations of the market in terms of how are they going to give them the right candidature.
Absolutely. In fact, I feel the mid and the junior folks in the organization who are unfortunately going through this, my personal view is take this as a good crisis and upskill yourself. This is not a time which hopefully should come ever again. Let's make use of this good crisis, if I may just use the word, and see what best you can do to upskill yourself and make yourself relevant. I think we all have enough news and articles available on the internet to really see which sector is going to hire, which sector is not going to hire, and make yourself relevant.
Yes, I think that's why Darwin was smart enough in saying that survival of the fittest. So you fit yourself to the bill and then you will survive for a longer duration. Okay, last set of questions for Varun, and I'll then put the house open for people who want to ask questions. Varun, this one was thought over from the panel at Acura and Innova, and they said the reduced engagement and the minimal after communication with potential hire, will this impact the performance of the company to deliver the expected results once they join?
I don't think so, Ranu. It doesn't work that way. So definitely, see, just to adding on to what Charu was talking about, the recruitment. Yes, there would be an abundance of resources in the market, but yes, finding a right fit is one bigger challenge. We do have challenge on. I think we have been. This is the remote interviews, the self interviews, the recorded interviews, the video interviews. Those are the things which are not. It is not that we have not seen those things. Those were happening, but those were happening on exceptional circumstances, which is now going to become a norm. And I don't see that any expected in terms of the expected performance or expected delivery is going to get reduced. So the expectation on that front is not going to change anyways. So those would remain as it is. Whereas the more focus, so I think initially a lot of decisions were taken. Okay, when you have a resource crunch, okay, you look for a fit wherein it may not be 100% match, but you still try to make an adjustment. Okay, this person may be able to deliver, but that is not going to happen in future. I think the more focus would be, when you are absolutely certain, sure, and moreover there is a abundance of resources in the market. So organization would take that path of having 100% surety. But is that remote interviewing, remote engagement, video engagement, video interest going to impact? I don't think so. It is a much of an impact. We traditionally still rely on a face-to-face interview, but I think this is a new normal we is going to adopt it to. So it is not that we were not doing it in the past. We were doing it, but only in exceptional circumstances, which is going to become a norm now. So expectation terms, I don't think so, because it is not happening for for consulting industry, for example, you can take. So if I am delivering any engagement remotely, that does not mean that my client is going to expect a substandard delivery. It is not going to happen. So whether a certain part of my work might get impacted, but otherwise the delivery is going to remain the same standard. Organization need to live to their brands and everything. So if that is not happening, so it is not come to the other side of the table as well. The expectation would remain from the employees towards the organization as well. I think standard is going to remain same.
Great. I was actually on a lighter note. Had this been an opportunity to host you as a speaker on a normal day, I would have probably had a podium, and probably the impact of this seminar would have been much more. But I think the new normal puts me in a situation where I'm putting you both still at home and asking you to talk to people who are listening to me actually. So let's hope that I agree pretty much to the point that because if the delivery is consistent, I'm sure the impact will not change that much in terms of the outcomes. So, okay. So I'll put the house open for any questions that our listeners have to chip in, and I will give the mic to Rano and see if he has picked up a few questions from our listeners. Rano?
Yeah, hi. There's one question from the audience, which was very interesting, and I found it would be worth attending to. The leave policy changes just in case somebody is identified with COVID and has a 14-day quarantine period. In that case, will that be counted as the COVID holiday, or it would be consuming the holiday, the eligibility criteria? Yeah, over to you.
So I can take that one, I think. So I think we need to take a little rationalist and practical approach on this, right? So it is not going to happen. There is going to be quarantine leave. It is not going to happen. So as it is going to get, see, ultimately your well-being as an individual, irrespective whether you're an employee with X company or Y company, it's your own responsibility. And if I fall sick, then obviously I will take a leave and utilize my leave and get myself better. Okay. I agree to I may agree to a point. Okay, if my leave balance is not there, so am I going to take a leave without pay? I think those are the things where situations, organizations would take a decision whether we are going to consider a leave without pay or not. But I think till the time I have my leave balances, I don't see a new leave getting added to your balance. So it is going to go from the same pool. I don't see that happening. Yeah.
Perfect. The question, kind of skill sets would now be normal for all the employees working together, including sales, operations, or team or any team, or the kind of skill sets which would be common and must have in the new set of people.
I can take that, Ranu. I think we spoke about this. Well, it's difficult to point out a particular skill set because they'll always be divided into behavioral and technical. Uh, we spoke about and we touched about the behavioral aspect, wherein, sense of ownership, sense of accountability, having a sense of discipline to be able to continue to work the way you're working and collaborate with people who are not really physically with you, and you're connected through a virtual world. These are some of the behavioral skills that will really stand out in times today. From a technical perspective, it really depends upon the industries which continue to do well, which will probably not get impacted so much in this crisis. The fact is, there are still industries and there are still, sectors which will take a little beating as far as their economy is concerned, because that is really the fact of life. I mean, the hotels are all shut down today, the gyms are all shut down today. People working in those sort of organizations are going through a tough time. But if you see on the other side, the essential services industry continues to boom today because everybody is at home only speaking and talking about essentials. That has really become the need because you need to have food every day, at least 3 or 4 times a day. You need to look at yourself from a well-being perspective, which is why a lot of virtual fitness sessions are really, doing well. I mean, most of us have kids, or people who don't have kids also have siblings, are going through how the education system is evolving. Every school is really looking at education through a virtual medium. In fact, I think the kids are more busy today than they were in their regular school because they have so many assignments to catch up on. So it really depends upon which technical skill are you really a part of and where is it that you want to be a part of, and accordingly take that call. And which is why I pointed out saying, use this time if you have free time for whatever reason, and make yourself relevant.
Just to add on to Charu's point, what I've been experiencing is that what so far being practiced only in IT and ITES industry is the remote managing of projects and creating a smaller projects, each task or a smaller assignments, and treating them as a project and delivering in a fixed time of frame of time and monitoring it on regular basis. So that kind of approach does not exist in other industries, but ITES has been doing it for a long time. I think other industries also adopt to the similar model, wherein smaller projects and task teams would be created for a specific delivery, and the monitoring and everything would happen basis that. So project management is going to be a skill which is going to be equally important for managers as well as individuals who are delivering those projects. So that is something I see as a need which might evolve in another coming.
Yeah, thanks, Charu and Varendra. I have a next question.
Ranu, we are losing you in between.
Okay, I think there is some connection issue with Ranu.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is we have some questions from the participants already.
Yes,
9 questions.
yes.
Let me take those then. So the first question is from Rajni Pandey. would like to go with the subject of the webinar. Of the webinar is the new normal capital space going to vary with different sectors?
So if I've understood the question correctly, let me rephrase it. It is that how this new normal is going to be for different sectors. Is that the question?
Yeah. I think that's the correct question.
So absolutely, as I mentioned, yes, new normal, what is going to be? We all are in a process of figuring that out. But what I can foresee is that it is going to be very different for manufacturing, very different for service sector industries, and there are industries which are going to take much bigger hits than anybody else, like cinema halls, gymnasium, or any restaurants. I think those are the industries or sectors which are entertainment, leisure, premium retail industry. Those are things which are going to take bigger hits in terms of, for them, the new normal might require redirectional changes. Whereas for ITS industry, KPOs, BPOs, I think those, and consulting, the change is not going to be redirectional in nature. It is going to be probably some tweaking in ways of working. But largely, yes, the new level of expectation setting at both ends, both at internally as well as externally. I think those are going to be the minor changes. But yes, manufacturing, service, those would see a bigger changes, and we don't know what is going to be a new normal. But I definitely see a redirectional changes happening in that industry.
Great, thanks for that. I'll take the next question. It is from Pooja Shah. It's a very straightforward and an interesting one. Is it a good time for HR or bad time?
I really like this one. I think, but yes, I feel it is a good time, and I've been experiencing it as a good time only for HR, but personally speaking, and I've seen similar situation, not exactly, but somewhere in 2008, 2009 recession, I think we were in the same situation and a similar kind of question, but those were not the lockdown scenarios. But we are seeing the economy going down and organizations struggling to keep up their P&Ls. Similarly here, in terms of good times, yes, we are getting a lot of opportunities to have meaningful conversations. And I think a lot of transactional work, which is being managed by Charu, you can't hear. I think Charu's connection froze.
But you can continue.
Yeah. So I see these are definitely good times. So more meaningful conversations happening, and a lot of work is going in HR analytics, which wasn't taking up even after whole industry getting into data analytics on board. But still, I think HR analytics. Having more robust HR management systems in place, I think more organizations will adopt that model. So obviously we'll have and upskilling. So if you see the kind of conversation we are having, the multiple initiatives we have spoken about have been revolving around HR, whether it's upskilling, whether it's having more robust HR management system, whether it's having a performance management discussions with knowing that there may not be resulting into increment in bonus payouts. So the PMS conversation are going to get more developmental orientation rather than a increment and a bonus outcome. So yes, it is going to be very interesting and good times for HR. I don't see anything going wrong. I think the only thing we might have struggled with is engagement activities doing remotely. I think but yeah, manageable. That's a new normal. But otherwise, I see interesting times for HR folks.
Thanks.
Vicky, before you take the next question, I'll just, if Charu is listening to this, we would try to still drive some consensus. Are you, do you consensually agree with Varindra in terms of good times?
I completely agree with him. Yeah, I think there's a lot everybody is learning. There's a lot everybody is dealing with, and forcefully there are lots of positive changes that are taking place. I'm telling you, had the crisis not hit, a lot of traditional organizations and a lot of traditional human beings would have continued the way they would have operated. Sometimes you need a shake-up.
Great. I think the person who asked the question, Ms. Shah, two HR experts from the industry have, agreed that they are good times. I think that should give you a lot of confidence going ahead with your work and the industry that you relate yourself to. Vicky, go ahead.
Thank you. So next question is from Karthik Trivedi. So he's a deputy manager HR at a manufacturing, a company that manufactures chemicals. And his question is, how do we practice work from home in manufacturing industry? As from management perspective, we see it is not making even 10% impact of to the company.
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, I think manufacturing is one sector which we will see bigger changes, because see, manufacturing cannot have two models, definitely, which service sector is adopting to. Definitely one is having smaller workspaces closer to the vicinity, right? These are the factories probably operating in SEZs, in large industrial spaces, a lot of contractual workers working. So I think work from home is not going to be the model for them. Model for them is going to be more social distancing based. So the lot of changes which will happening in the workplaces in the manufacturing setup would be related to the social distancing. Having lesser people in a shift, managing productivity accordingly. Government might come with a regulation where the 24 hours operating of factories were not allowed. They might give that concurrence to factories to operate 24 hours. So I think those are the measures which we see. Definitely, it is not going to happen. See, we are not saying that the cinemas will going to shut down or manufacturing is going to shut down. That is never going to happen, right? Industries will operate. And that's what we are saying, that what is going to be a new normal, in the sense that, okay, when you can't remotely support a function, then, for example, the banking has been operating throughout this lockdown period, okay, or especially the government banks. Similarly, the government banks, and because the government has sent out money in Jan Aadhaar accounts, Jandan accounts. The people who are coming to withdraw those money. Those are the people who are not using debit cards, who are not using internet banking, so they need a physical form to withdraw, right? So it is not, banks did not shut down. Banks didn't just adopted a new normal, okay, and having the guards and their teams, everyone equipped and made aware that, okay, how the social distancing needs to be maintained, spending more, having lesser staffs, and some banks, even government banks, have adopted a strategy wherein they have made a branch rotation in areas. So you might see that one area has 3 branches of, let's say, SBI. So we'll say, okay, Monday one branch will open, secondly this branch will. So they have made, so those are new normals they're adopting to. And now what they are doing is they're having lesser staff in lesser number of branch on a rotational basis. So these kind of new things will adapt, and similar things would come up for manufacturing as well, wherein they might have lesser staff, more social distancing norms applicable, and more focus on having a basic hygiene in place.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, there was one bit that I'll just add, Varendra, that,
Yeah.
one of the participants is from the banking industry, and he said that would this have a different impact on the PMS for them?
Yes, I saw that question. I wanted to take that one up. In terms of impact, so how do we translate that impact is one. So one is that let's divide this performance management in 2 parts. One, the kind of discussions happening on the delivery I have done as an employee for an organization. Okay. Second part of it is my developmental needs. Okay. Whether organizations are focusing on that or not. And the third thing, which is generally we all focus more on, is the outcome of that. Outcome is generally the increment and the bonus payouts. Yes, those are going to take hits. Okay. At this point in time, what the new normal everybody is talking about is that to have the current engagements going, sustaining, we do not have to get into a situation where we reduce salaries. We don't want to get a situation we lay off people. So idea is that every organization, whether it's manufacturing sector specific, any organization should be able to support the existing manpower cost in their P&L. I think going that, this year the increments is going to be the same, I think. But next year, yes, as industry revives, if it is a U-shaped recovery for an economy, we might see increments coming next year in somewhere in June, July. If we see a V-shaped recovery for economy, we might end up getting new norms on the mandates on the increment of salary revision bonus period, maybe probably in January itself. So yes, but I think more focus should, as an individual employee, I and my manager and organization should be on the initial two parts of performance appraisal, not the third part of it, which is an outcome. I think that's going to happen now.
I hope, Akshay, that pretty much answers your question in terms of the PMS. Now that you did speak about learning edges, and I think there are two questions, two domains that hit my mind, and I'm not too sure, it's going to be a boon or a curse for them, but L&D and outplacement, actually. These are two things that cross my mind when we are talking about, the layoffs, maybe change in industry, and also L&D. So what do you think the behavior for these two would be in terms of the new normal?
I think Charu has been talking too much about L&D. I think Charu, please go ahead.
My personal view, Ganesh, I think this is the best time for learning and development organizations to really, really become innovative. All organizations where employees are working from home, and one of the primary, aim of every organization is to keep their employees engaged, motivated, productive, be healthy, be mentally healthy. A lot of management team is looking at learning and development as a go-to department to really start leveraging on what can we really do for our employees, because it is this department that is really going to hold the entire engagement levels high, people coming in together, people learning, people upskilling, because they all understand that there is a certain type of burnout that is happening when people are sitting at home. How do you bring in the new normal? Because there are no 15-20 minutes coffee breaks happening in office. There are no meetings happening in office. You're not really going for a smoke break anywhere. So you need still to do something which keeps your mind active, which keeps your mind in place. So in my view, learning and development is really going to take a huge benefit out of this. Organizations should keep themselves and their teams motivated, engaged, healthy. Well-being is very, very important. So that's really my view. What was the second point on L&D?
You need to
Ganesh, you're on mute.
The second part was outplacements, Charu. So, because
outplacement. So yeah, I mean, outplacement is just a word. It's about organizations not being able to hold a certain headcount, and therefore they outplace employees and have them work for you as clients, but on a consultant model. In my view, and I think I just covered this a couple of minutes ago, the mid to junior roles in all organizations, I think will have minimal impact, because if they are not really a part of the true headcount of the organization, they will probably get outplaced. So no organization is wanting to or enjoying layoffs. I mean, nobody really wants to lay off, but the way we all are operating in our own families today, cash is the king. We are all preserving the way we are doing our spend, because all of us somewhere worry about, we don't know how much is the continuity, how long is it going to last. Organizations are exactly thinking in the same manner. Yes, there are organizations that have to take tough calls because cash is king and they want to preserve as much as they can, and therefore they are re-looking at their AOP plans, they are re-looking at their budgets, they are re-looking at their hiring numbers. But it is really about having business as normal in all forms. And therefore, if there is any way you can possibly save a penny, the idea is to really save a penny, but not really lay off anybody. We keep hearing about gig economy today. I mean, so I think it's just a word. In my view, nobody should in times today wait for a dream job. Whatever comes their way, they should just embrace it and keep learning themselves and upskilling themselves, because it is really going to be the new normal as we move along.
Great. I'm sure Rano is hearing this bit, and I'm sure he has smiles. Probably he's not, but I'm sure he was keen on focusing on these two elements, especially L&D. So he has. We can take one last question if we have one last question, and then I'm going to go to the rapid fire.
Ganesh, just wanted to add, I could see,
Sure.
I saw one of the questions, I think somebody asked that how it is going to specifically impact the sales department.
Sure.
And I think the follow-up was that on a banking sector, I think banking we have addressed, specifically we haven't spoken about sales. So I just wanted to share my perspective on sales. I think it all depends what you're exactly selling. So I've seen people who are selling MS Team as a software to organizations, they have made a lot of money. They have crossed their target by 400%. And there are people who were selling insurances, term life insurance. They are also minting money at this point in time. I think because of the obviously healthcare insecurity, critical illness insurances, term life insurance are selling like hotcakes. I think what we are specifically sales, we are talking about if it is a product sales, it is going to have a different norms of selling. There's going to different ways of selling it. I think Chrysler has already announced their virtual showroom for selling Mercedes. Maruti has launched a new initiative that they bring the car to your home, which you want to test drive or which you want to see, which you want to in terms of color, everything. So you need a showroom. So Maruti has already started that initiative. Obviously, it would not happen to probably FMCG goods. If you want to buy a TV, you will not have LG would not come up to your place to deliver that and show multiple variants. But yes, the virtual showrooms are going to be a new normal for such FMCG products. But yes, the goods like grocery items, I think we have been adopting to that normal of having those online delivery. So it doesn't matter what are you selling, that would depend on how it is going to impact your role.
I think this is the space where innovation becomes the key. How you innovate your business model, how you innovate your marketing strategy, and probably bring in some fresh Nimbu juice to the table. And if that can spice it up, I think that's the way the new normal is going to be. Rather, I would say the iteration or the gap or the duration between each innovation is going to be much smaller than the earlier period. So I think there would be a lot more innovations coming into this space in terms of sales for the companies to create that boost in demand. So yeah, that I think will bring us to the question answer session. I am quite excited to go to the rapid fire, but at this time I will actually take Varindra first, I'm sure. Because that would make us an equal opportunity partner.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so Varindra, brace yourself. Get your seatbelts on. Charu, do you want me to reduce the time frame between each question? Probably we can, make Varindra really fast.
That's okay. I'm just waiting for my hamburger.
Okay, great. So here we go, Varindra. So the first set of rapid fire questions. What do you think would be the sunset industry in the COVID-19 scenario?
I think I already covered that during my introduction. I've mentioned about service sector. I think restaurants, gymnasiums, airlines, these are things which are going to take it.
Sunrise industry during this COVID-19?
Sunrise, definitely people who are selling Microsoft Teams, I think. And a lot of learning solutions which Charu spoke about. I think those are going
Copy paste answers.
Yeah. I think we have already spoken too much about everything. So.
5 redundant skills in today's times.
5 redundant skills. Okay. I think can't think of anything, but yeah, redundant skills.
5 most needed skills in today's times.
5 most needed definitely is going to project management and remotely managing the teams, having productivity measured on an outcome based rather than hourly based. Third would be adopting to new normal of having people discussions online, and fifth would be, I think these are the ones I can think of at this time. Initial
HR
flows,
managers. Yeah. Sorry. One phrase that would suit the HR managers.
problem solvers at this stage.
Okay. One phrase that would suit the executives.
Empowered decision making.
Okay. And this will be an ad hoc question out of syllabus. What would you add one line to your resume if you are looking for a job change?
Looking for a job change. I think project management I would add.
Okay, great. You have to give me one word answers. These are one words. You have to give me, explain these terms in your own way. Job.
Keep it.
India.
Recovering.
Leader.
Leading or empowered.
Skills.
Evolving.
Change.
New normal.
Market.
It should recover soon, I think.
Challenge.
Staying relevant, I think.
Hiring.
Shall continue.
Management.
Sorry, I missed the last one.
Management.
Management, I think, is going to be a new normal. I think they are also adopting to a new normal.
And the last one, youth.
Youth, I think they are the ones who are going to see the bigger change. So stay
Okay.
positive, guys.
Great. I will ask the others how you fared in the rapid fire round. While I do that in the chat window, Charu, it's your turn now.
Okay. I answer a lot from the heart
We will go with the one.
versus the technical skills of Virendra. So let's just take a shot at it.
Great. I think that's the good thing to do. We had very technical answers there. We have heartful answers here. But I'm going to start with the one words first with you, and then I'll go to the questions.
Okay.
So market,
Opportunity.
management,
Hope.
change,
The only continuous.
challenge,
Opportunity.
skills,
Abundant.
leader,
Sorry.
leader,
Trust.
hiring,
Skill based.
job,
Passion.
India,
I lost you, Ganesh.
India,
New beginning.
and youth.
Future.
Okay, let's head to the questions then.
Okay.
We will start the out of syllabus one first. What would be that one line that you're going to add to your resume if you're looking for a job change?
I would say resilience and optimism.
Okay. One phrase that you would suit to the executives.
Trust. That's my favorite these days.
One phrase that would suit the HR managers.
I would say time for reset. Do things that you probably wouldn't do in the normal. Revisit policies, revisit processes, revisit technology, upgrade whatever you can.
Great. 5 most needed skills, not the ones which Varinder had said.
Okay, my answers are pretty standard that I think I've covered in most of my conversations. I would say collaborate, stay positive, learn. Really, these are the only relevant ones. Yeah, I mean, learning quotient, resilience, collaboration, positivity. These are the only things I just keep harping on all the time.
Okay. 5 redundant skills in these times.
Difficult to say, but it's actually the opposite of all the skills that is needed. If you are an individual contributor, know-it-all attitude, it's difficult to sustain in times today. If you're not adaptable or inflexible about really, wanting to try out new things, is going to be difficult. If you're fixated in your mindset, don't want to experiment with new things, things will become a little challenging.
Okay. The sunrise industry?
Sunrise industry?
Yes, sunrise industry.
It's difficult for me to say, but I think organizations that are tech ready will all do well.
And the sunset ones?
Again, similar example and answer. Organizations that are filled with trust, uh, and they could belong to any sector and any industry, they will find their way and they will just do well.
Great. So while I'm actually looking at what the chat window says, who is the unanimous winner? And I think Varindra will hands down agree with me that it's Charu.
Thank you.
Absolutely, Anish. Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah. I think we become speechless when we are questioned, isn't it? We are good at giving answers, but and I'm sure Charu has this unique skill of answering questions. So great. So before I hand over the closing notes to the speakers and Rano, I would like to thank you personally, Charu and Varindra, for coming across and spending this valuable 1 hour and sharing your insights. And thank you to all the participants who, as like on a Saturday morning, you've taken out time from your family, sitting in front of the systems, listening to all the insights that we have shared. The reason we did the entire exercise of repeating the rapid fire questions from the earlier part of questions is probably gives a very clear idea on the organizations that you can look for in future, which may be difficult, the skills that you have to look for in yourselves, the skills that the industry would be looking at, what kind of preparedness that you need to have if you want to approach the post-COVID-19 situations, both in your job, in your career. And I think that would give you a clear idea. We will try and bring in more such opportunities of interactions with experts so that we can, keep evolving towards the new normal in this space. So thank you once again. I will now hand it over to Rano. Before Rano goes up, I would want Charu and Varindra to do the closing notes, and then we will hand it over to Rano to do the final closing. So this time, as I said, Varindra first, and then we will close it with Charu.
I have nothing much to add now. I think thank you, and I really like a couple of questions which has come. I think we still missed on quite few ones in the end, but yeah, I think we can talk about them later. Yes, one question which interested me in there was the dilemma of HR managing the compensation and the industry, the company interest. I think that's the one dilemma I think we all would go through and have been managing it. But yes, that's a new normal we are adapting to. We are adapting to that new ways of working. So the change would be there for everyone, but I think the quantum of it may vary from role to role, organization to organization, industry to industry. But yes, we all would go through that change, and let's brace ourselves for that.
Thank you, Varun. Charu, your closing notes.
Yeah, a lot has been said, Ganesh, but yeah, pretty much a repeat. I think embrace change. This is a time in which everyone is going through the same thing, the same feeling, the same issues. How do you deal with it is really upon you as an individual. As I said, I'm terming it as a good crisis. A lot of us have always wanted to work from home and do lots of things while we are working from home. Remember those days when you wanted to work from home and spend time with your family, cook, do yoga, do whatever you wanted to do because you wanted to work from home and beat the traffic of all the mad cities that we travel. So do all of those things. Stay positive. Do what you've never done before, and it is going to be a world filled with opportunities in a new sense.
Thank you, Charu. Thanks a ton. I'll just now hand it over to Rano and then closing comments. Rano.
Hi, Ganesh. Thanks everybody for their time. Garindra and Ganesh and Charu for their special for their sharing their inputs. I would also like to thank Vicky and Sunil who had Unova and Ace Human Capital. I request all of our participants to keep following us for all the page continuously for further webinars, further information and knowledge on the various things happening in the human space. Again, stay safe, stay healthy, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Charu. Thank you, Virendra. Thank you, everyone.
So Vicky sir, thank you once again. It was a wonderful effort, quite nicely curated. And I would say that, we were able to actually, I think, drive it very nicely, much better than the expected pace. And I think you should, keep doing this regularly. You should keep doing this regularly. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Rano sir, thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome.
Pleasure, sir.
I'll now go ahead and end the webinar.
Yeah, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.